All right, so I have breaking news for you. This is happening right now as we're talking. Israel is striking Iran. Israel already struck Iran for the last couple of hours. This has been going on. And just before I launched this video, I saw something saying it's striking a second round right now. Here's what's happened. I talked about this in a video just before my class tonight, that it's very likely that within the next 72 hours, there's going to be this strike. Well, it didn't take very long at all. Within an hour from the time I launched that video, this was on. Okay, Israel strikes Iran. Let's talk about what happened here. So, OSINT Defender, Iranian officials report that at least 4 Iranian military and political leaders have been eliminated tonight by Israel. So there's two things going on. They're going after the nuclear enrichment, where the Iranians are very close to getting a nuclear bomb. That is a non-starter for Israel, primarily because Iran has said for years that Israel should be wiped off the map. And when they get a nuclear bomb, they're going to use that to wipe Israel off the map. So the Israelis have every incentive for this to not happen. Okay, so they're going after their leadership. That's part one. And then they're going after their nuclear enrichment facilities. So Israel has begun airstrikes in Tehran, Iran. This is what some of the footage looks like. You can see the smoke cloud over here over the sky of Tehran. Here's breaking. Israel has struck at least 6 military bases near Tehran, including Parchin, along with 2 secure command compounds and several residential buildings in what appear to be targeted assassinations, according to 4 senior Iranian officials speaking to the New York Times. This targeted assassinations is the lopping off the leadership that is involved in this. Explosions and fire near Razi Square in Tehran after an Israeli strike. I'm sorry, it's bad image, but there we are. Mohammad Bagheri, chief of the Iranian General Staff, reportedly was killed in the Israeli precision strike on Tehran. Iran may be on the brink of developing its first nuclear weapon, and Israel will do everything possible to prevent that. I saw today this timeline where the Israelis were saying, hey, they're 5 years away, they're 3 years away, they're a year away. And like this spread out over a decade or so, but they're less than a year away, they're months away, they're weeks away. And so they were going to act at some point just because the Iranians were just bent on getting this. Okay, statement by the Israeli Defense Force on Operation Kalavi. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. As part of the initial strikes, like that might be more to come. And over the course of the night, now remember, it's early morning there. It's probably about 5 a.m. maybe something in there right now. I'm doing this a little after 10 p.m. I just got back from an evening class. And so it's after 10 p.m. and probably 10:30 by the time I'm done with this, maybe before this will be out before 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As part of the initial strikes, dozens of military targets in various parts of Iran were attacked. Military command facilities, command centers, military facilities, headquarters, and nuclear facilities. You'll notice that when the Israelis do this kind of thing, they are extremely targeted. It's almost the opposite of what you see the Russians do to Ukraine. They're just kind of scattershotting all over the civilian population. No, they're trying to hit generals. That's what they're after. The sirens that sounded throughout the country were not related to the missile strikes. They were intended to prepare the population for possible shelling in the near future. Okay. The army is preparing for an operation that could last at least several days. Intense shelling from Iran is expected. So the Israelis are expecting to be this. Okay. So they're going to do two things. They're going to hit these nuclear facilities and the leadership, and they're going to expect to be hit back by the Iranians. But they're calculating that it's worth it not to be nuked later on. Once the operation is complete, there will no longer be a nuclear threat. That's what they're after, that there's no longer going to be a nuclear threat from Iran. Here's OSINT Technical. Iranian airspace is closed. I saw something else and I can't find it now, that Israeli airspace is closed. Here's clear evidence of targeted strikes in Tehran tonight. And when we say targeted, we mean that. Like, this is a civilian building, like an apartment building, but they're going after the leadership that lives up here. That's the idea. Seen here, a Tehran apartment with multiple floors blown out by an Israeli missile. I would imagine that there's somebody high up in the Iranian leadership that lives there. Israel confirms to Axios that they targeted senior Iranian military leadership during their first round of strikes on Tehran, which means there's more to come if that's the first round. And I just saw something that said there's a second wave just starting. So, and it's very late for me, so this will probably be my last video until tomorrow morning. But I just wanted to get this out here. Okay. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio warns Iran not to attack U.S. assets in the Middle East. Now, why is he saying that? I had talked about that in this video here. My last video tonight was the standoff Middle East crisis. The next 72 hours could change everything. Only 5,000 of you watched it when I put this out 3 hours ago. So I know it's not my normal time of day when this was put out, but this hit like an hour before the thing started. So get all the background information from this. I'll link this at the end of the video. This is the next thing that you want to see to get, well, like why it started and what's causing what. Okay, but Rubio said this, and the reason I said that here was because Rubio is reacting to what Iranian and allied to Iran leaders are saying about, like, we're going to go after the U.S. targets if this happens. Okay, tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interest or personnel. Okay, so again, that's because of the statements made, and you can go and see that in this video here. Okay. Next, so what did they hit exactly? Iran's Natanz nuclear enrichment facility is burning after a series of Israeli airstrikes tonight. That's what you're seeing here off in the distance. And then you're seeing a good proportion of the facility, including the key enrichment halls, are buried deep underground. So I think there'll be strike one, strike two, there'll be multiple things that are coming in with JDAMs or whatever kinds of munitions necessary to totally destroy this facility. Munitions arsenal was also hit, and that's why it's blowing up as it is in this picture. This is in Piranshar, struck by Israel tonight as well. There were 4 or 6 facilities that were hit. Very high likelihood that some F-35s are going to get their first combat kills in the next few hours. And then I just saw this a little bit before I started working on this video. Israel launches a second wave of strikes on Iran. Now, to conclude, to like just kind of wrap up, here's some interesting stuff. Steve Witkoff's masterclass in diplomacy in Russia and the Middle East. Remember, Witkoff was the one that was negotiating this, and the Iranians, and I've reported on this for the last few months actually, periodically the Iranians are going to have talks, and then they're going to slow walk. I remember talking about this like a week or two ago, and they're going to slow walk and nothing will happen, and they'll slow walk and then they'll have more talks because they just want to get to the bomb. They don't want to actually have to settle anything. Okay, Ryan Macbeth posted this. A few people asked why I told my Iranian fans to stay away from windows and stay in the bathtub until dawn. The attacks should be over by dawn. Israel won't target civilians, but Iranian SAMs and AAA could fall back down to earth and cause harm. So stay away from the windows and stay safe if you're there. Israel, this is the Reagan caucus, Israel, like Ukraine, clearly has no faith that the Trump administration can handle it. Like Witkoff's deals, they're not going anywhere. And then the pizza index. This is the Pentagon Pizza Report, the closest dominoes to the Pentagon. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, go back to this video, Standoff, and I talk about the pizza index and what's going on with that. It's predicting it. Israel, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one here. This closest dominoes to the Pentagon has surged in traffic as of 8:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Look at that. How about that? It's busier than usual right about now. So, yeah. Now, there's also this. Freddy's Beach Bar, the closest gay bar to the Pentagon, is also experiencing below average levels of activity for a Thursday, and that's part of the same. Go back to that video if you want to understand what we're talking about. All right, that's it. That's all the news that I have for you right now. I'll do another follow-up in the morning. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes, and for being the kind of person that cares about what's happening in the world in which we live.